The chronicle begins with Isagi Yoichi, a diligent high school student who harbors the vehement desire to become an icon of Japanese football. During a decisive match, a golden opportunity arises for him to seal the victory with a goal. However, his coach's instruction to pass the ball to his teammate Tada leads to the squandering of that valuable chance. Ryosuke Kira, the opponent, known as the treasure of Japanese football, proves relentless. He scores, and Isagi's team suffers a stinging defeat. This juncture plunges Isagi into an abyss of despondency, exacerbated by the recollection of Noah's creed, his ultimate role model and Europe's most outstanding footballer, renowned for his infallibility in crucial moments. A question persistently haunts him. What course would events have taken if he had dared to shoot? Immersed in this internal turmoil upon returning to his residence, he encounters an unexpected communication. He has been summoned to a program for elite athletes. With the first light of the following day, Isagi heads towards a majestic edifice where, to his considerable astonishment, he not only crosses paths with Kira, but also with several hundred other young strikers, all united by a common aspiration. At that precise moment, Ego Jinpachi makes his appearance, an enigmatic individual whose sole mission is to ensure Japan wins the World Cup. His methodology: a bold initiative called Blue Lock. 300 aspiring forwards will share a roof and undergo an absolutely rigorous training regimen designed to sculpt the ultimate striker. Only the last one standing will taste the sweetness of triumph. Faced with objections from some footballers, including Kira, who are reluctant at the prospect of detaching from their squads, Ego Jinpachi remains inflexible. Those who do not harbor the ambition to be the world's best are free to withdraw. Immediately thereafter, he proclaims a disruptive concept. Football is not based on teamwork, but on the materialization of goals. He draws an analogy between the Japanese scene and that of world-class figures, all of them strikers endowed with a singular egoism. The maxim that condenses the essence of the project resonates with overwhelming power. You will never reach the top as a striker if you are not the most prominent egoist on the planet. These words are seared into Isagi's spirit, who had always fantasized about stardom. When the thresholds of Blue Lock are breached, Isagi, in tune with his incipient ego, chooses to cross it, and his resolution acts as a catalyst for the others. The 300 boys are led to the Blue Lock complex. Isagi is assigned rank 299, the second to last. Within Sector Z, in addition to his new encounter with Kira, he comes into contact with striking personalities such as Igarashi, the clergyman's scion, and an indecipherable Bachira Meguru, who lies peacefully asleep on the floor. Ego Jinpachi projects himself onto a screen to explain the regulations. The numbers printed on their kits symbolize their rankings, subject to continuous modifications. The top 5 ranked players will earn the privilege of competing in the U20 World Cup. For those who are defeated, however, the consequence is implacable. They will be excluded for life from any call-up to represent Japan. The initiation test is presented without delay, the game of tag. Confined to a delimited area, and with a margin of 136 seconds, the player holding the ball when time expires will be out of the competition. Igarashi starts the game, targeting Isagi, but the latter manages to evade him. In the heat of the moment, Bachira Meguru awakens spectacularly, knocking Igarashi down with a kick, while Kunigami Rensuke, possessing a deep sense of fairness, is hit after expressing his disagreement. Isagi, unintentionally turned into a human shield, is injured and assumes the role of chaser, compelled by the pressing need to avoid elimination. Dominated by urgency, Isagi corners Igarashi as the countdown continues. Bachira, exhibiting extraordinary skill and tactical lucidity, interferes. Making a risky decision, instead of focusing on his own survival, he chooses to confront the most imposing competitor in the room, Kira. With a dazzling feint, he passes the ball to Isagi at the final moment. Kira, underestimating the situation, lowers his guard, but Isagi's predatory instinct ignites, and he directs the ball towards him. Thus, Ryosuke Kira, the celebrated Jewel of Japan, is marginalized in this first test. Jinpachi then proceeds To explain the rationale behind the test, both the environment and the dynamics sought to emulate the conditions and net possession time of a striker during a match. Kira's mistake lay in not taking advantage of that final breath to ensure his stay. Isagi, still processing his determination, hears Bachira tell him plainly, "I had faith in you." On these foundations, Team Z is consolidated. The subsequent days are characterized by intensive training and the progressive acquaintance among the members. One of Blue Lock's premises is that the quality of provisions is linked to ranking, which stimulates fierce competition. Isagi, battling sleeplessness, goes to the gym at night, where he coincides with Bachira. Upon questioning him about the decisive assist in the previous test, Bachira reveals the presence of an entity, monster, within him that influences his decisions on the field, suggesting that Isagi also carries a similar one. Such an idea rekindles Isagi's latent ego. The rankings fluctuate. Isagi makes modest progress. Jinpachi communicates that Blue Lock is structured in 5 wings and that each formation has already experienced 1 elimination. Team Z occupies the lowest rung of the classification. A brief overview of Itoshi Sei is offered, an exceptionally talented Japanese midfielder who competes in Europe and disparages the football level of his home country, although the Blue Lock project manages to awaken a glimmer of interest in him. The start of the first selection is formally announced. Team Z must face 4 other teams, and only the 2 with the best overall balance will advance. Jinpachi poses a transcendental challenge to them. Build football from its foundations using your intellect. Group cohesion is dispensable. Football only needs a heroic protagonist. The first duel pits Team Z against Team X. Although Bachira encourages Isagi to enjoy the encounter, the drive to stand out individually consumes the members of Team Z, who fiercely dispute possession. Unexpectedly, Baru Shui of Team X bursts forth, an overwhelming force who breaks the deadlock and proclaims himself the king of the field. Team Z, mired in chaotic individualism, presents an image opposite to that of Team X, which, although pivoting on Baru's ego, demonstrates notable coordination. The score difference widens. When defeat looms like a shadow, Bachira outlines a plan to Isagi to, through collaboration, score a goal and thus transmute their squad's 0 into a 1. Bachira and Isagi's concerted action unfolds. Bachira weaves past opponents with his exquisite dribbling skill and passes the ball to Isagi. Just as Isagi prepares to shoot, he notices Baru's imposing presence. In an instant, his body executes an instinctive maneuver and transfers the ball to Kunigami, who, thanks to the formidable power of his shot, scores a spectacular goal. However, the jubilation is tinged by the displeasure of other teammates who expected the pass and by Baru's incisive statements, asserting that Isagi does not have the makings of a striker. Team Z capitulates in the match, plunging Isagi into a state of profound frustration and uncertainty. The team immerses itself in an intense exchange of ideas. Kuan, the team's tactical thinker, stresses the criticality of not suffering another setback. Isagi, pondering the unifying effect Baru's goal had on Team X and reflecting on Jinpachi's words about building football from scratch, begins to glimpse a possible path. Jinpachi speaks once more, arguing that to achieve the evolution from 0 to 1, it is imperative that they identify and refine their specific resources as attackers in order to impose their will on the field. Isagi perceives that a new understanding is beginning to take shape within him. At dawn the next day, the members of Team Z openly share their respective strengths and special abilities in football. Kuan's jumping ability, Bachira's dribbling prowess, Kunigami's power. Chigiri Hyoma keeps his in reserve, while Isagi has not yet managed to identify his own distinctive talent. During dinner, Kunigami approaches Isagi to thank him for the assist in the previous match and share his source of inspiration. He yearns to become an exemplary football champion. Isagi admits that in that play, he simply sensed that Kunigami would score. Kunigami suggests that this ability to detect the scent of goals could, in fact, be his main asset, which instills renewed optimism in Isagi. The next commitment pits them against Team Y, a contest of utmost importance. Kwon devises a strategy based on rotating positions every 10 minutes, which would allow each player to exploit their particular weapon. Bachira is the first to try, but he is neutralized by Team Y's disciplined defense, led by the shrewd Nico. Iki. Kunigami experiences a similar block. Isagi notices that Team Y adopts a conservative tactic. Suddenly, a deadly counterattack. Nico serves Okawa, Team Y's most dangerous striker, who finishes with precision. The play had been coldly orchestrated. By Nico, Team Z becomes a focus of tension and recriminations. The rotations continue. Imamura wastes his chance. Gagamaru-gin's turn arrives. He gets the ball, weaves a combination with Isagi, who heads a crossback to him that is miraculously intercepted. A corner kick is signaled. Isagi picks up a vibe of danger and realizes that Nico had anticipated the concession of that corner as part of a deception. Brilliantly anticipating, Isagi thwarts Nico's pass and dismantles his plan. Shortly thereafter, following an attempt by Isagi, Gagamaru, displaying extraordinary reflexes, scores the equalizer. The intellectual duel between Nico and Isagi intensifies, and the latter warns him that he will not allow him to pull the strings of the match. In the final minutes, Team Y prepares its definitive assault. Nico advances with the ball, feints a shot, but at the last moment filters a pass to Okawa, who was waiting unmarked. However, Isagi, reading the play in advance, intercepts and recovers crucial possession. He had deciphered Nico's intention, recognizing a game logic similar to his own. He sensed that Nico would refrain from shooting. At that precise moment, Isagi's hesitant facet dissolves, giving way to the dawn of a new type of striker. Isagi spearheads the offensive response. Team Z plays its best cards. Bachira elegantly dribbles past adversaries, serves Gagamaru, who deliberately lets the ball pass, as the assist was originally intended for Isagi. The latter, acting with resolute egoism, controls and shoots, scoring, the goal that certifies Team Z's triumph. Observing Team Y prostrated by defeat, Isagi understands the implacable nature and profound satisfaction of victory, the sensation of prevailing over the ambitions of others. The crucible of Blue Lock continues to shape his inexorable metamorphosis.